That was many years ago. That was more than 10 years ago. That episodes on the Four Noble Truths. But it still applies. I think that it's good to follow the Four Noble Truths. Please continue telling us about your Malaysian Dharma talk. Recently, a few days ago, we finished writing up 4,600 words, Chinese characters, of our tour of Malaysia, and someone is translating it into English, and then we'll post it on under the bridge, under the corridor, and you can take a look at it, and with photographs too. We went to 5 cities: Butterworth, Penang, Kuala Lumpur, and Malacca, and what else was that? Ipoh. Have you been to Malaysia? Raise your hands if you've been to Malaysia. Yeah, you've been to Malaysia, yeah. We fly to Penang, and then we went to different places by driving. It's a tiring trip, but it's worth it. We went to different places and talked to different groups of people, and we have a lot of experiences, of course. I was invited by the Malaysian Buddhist Association 1 year ago. Next year, maybe I'm going to Singapore on a request next year, and maybe to Indonesia too. So we'll see. In Malaysia, they speak a few languages: Chinese, Cantonese, and Mandarin, and also some Chinese, especially younger Chinese, they don't speak Chinese language. They speak Malay and English too. When I was at Kuala Lumpur, I lectured in English. And so I've been using different languages, and that is an advantage in promoting the Dharma. This is the International Buddhist Society. We plan to do more talks and put it on website, put it in different internets, particularly the YouTube. I have a lot of lectures on YouTube, hundreds of them. Over the 15 years, I have hundreds of lectures on YouTube. And you can, yeah, and also on our website, in English, in Cantonese, and Putonghua. Yeah.
Venerable, you were talking about a mystical experience that you had.
Mystical experiences. Mystical experiences, I have one in Malacca. Did I talk about it before?
No.
We were touring, and of course Malacca was the final stop, Malacca. And Malacca is at the tip of Malaysia. And according to Chinese history, when the Navy fleet, when they travel from China exploring different parts of the world, the first stop, the Chinese junks, the first stop was at Malacca. They refuel it, and then they stop for a couple of days and watch the wind direction, because in those days junks depend on wind movement, and then they went to different places. And then they brought a lot of staple products from China, and from all these different countries, they brought back spices, coffee, and all that. So Malacca, it's an ancient city. It is quite beautiful, an ancient city at the tip, close to the ocean. So that was our final stay. When we were at Malacca, we stayed in a small hotel. They call it a small boutique hotel. And we find that hotel to be so wonderful, because we were born and raised up in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong was a British colony with hotels like constructed according to the colonial style. And in Malacca, the hotel that we stay is a colonial, small but quite good. It's a boutique hotel. Very good service and very good afternoon tea, British afternoon tea, and it's quite good. It's not expensive too. It's quite close to the ocean. And then there was the final trip, and of course after lectures we went to some place like not Chinatown, but some Chinese shops to shop around to see if there are any ancient Buddhist statues that we can see, rosary beads and counting beads and Buddhist beads. And we've been to so many shops in Malacca. We feel a little tired, after lectures, and we were driving by a small shop. When we were driving by a small shop, I just took a glance on the side, on my left-hand side, and I saw something that, oh, that's a shop, I want to go in there. I want to go in that small little gloomy shop. It's not a conspicuously lit up shop. It's just an ordinary, small, dark, shop with a little bit of antique, but not wonderful pieces of antique, just ordinary, some antique, some chairs and all that. So someone was driving and we were sitting in a van, and I took a glance and I want to go into that shop. And all these other who travels with me, no, we have been so tired already. So we have already gone in that shop. It's a little tiring. Maybe we shouldn't have gone. We shouldn't go in. I said, no, I still feel that I have to go in. So the car was actually a few yards away when the driver came to a stop. So I got off the car, and all these members, some of the members, they follow, and we went into the shop. So when I walked into the shop, a gloomy shop with one lady sitting in the middle, sitting down and listening to something. So I was walking in the shop, and all of a sudden I heard my own voice. I heard my own voice talking. And later I find out that half a minute, a few seconds ago, the lady just flipped onto YouTube and listened to my lectures. And he used to be listening my lectures on YouTube in Chinese. So the moment when I stepped in, he flipped onto the YouTube channel, and I was walking in there, I was browsing. How come I could hear my own voice? And then I walked close to the lady, I said, I was that person. And she was looking up at me, you were what? I was that person who was talking. Oh, he was amazed in consternation. He said, oh yeah, you are that person? Oh, that's Venerable Quan Chung. Yeah, I'm Venerable Quan Chung. You are from Canada, right? Well, how can you, all of a sudden, someone from Canada standing by my side, and I was looking at that YouTube, the little computer, he had an iPad. I don't know, maybe an iPad or a computer. He was looking at me, and all of a sudden I appear right next to her. She was so surprised. So, and then, of course, we talked. And then later I found out that she is a very devout Buddhist, and she chanted the mantra of compassion every day, 21 times every day. And he had a little shrine in the middle of the shop at the back where he was bowing and prostrating and chanting every day to Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. The 48 hands, Avalokitesvara, Guanyin Pusa, 48 Bei Guanyin, a bronze statue. And it was in the middle with an incense burner. And then I discovered that there were two bronze statues. One is the White Tara, and the other is Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva. So I said, wow, these are two bronze statues that are so good. Why don't you put it on the altar, your own altar there, for prostration and for your mantra chanting? And she said, yeah, I wanted to do it, but I dare not do it. I dare not move it. I wanted someone to move it for me, and I was trying to invite a monk to come in and to move it. And you've come, so can you? So I said, I'll move them for you. So I took out the statues and put it on the altar, and then I chant the mantra of compassion. So all these things happen. It seems to be so. It happened on causality. In other words, how could someone who is thousands of miles away in Canada all of a sudden appear in front? And he was looking at the iPad at that moment, and the same person talking. And she always wanted someone to put the two statues on the altar. And here I came. Actually, it seems that my objective to come is to put those statues on the altar table for her. So she was so surprised. And then later I thought of how can all these causes put together, because I was planning not to go in and I was advised not to go in, but I still insisted on going in. Even the car was about a few yards away, the car stopped and I had to walk back. So if I say, okay, since we are so tired, maybe I don't want to look at that shop, but I don't know why I insisted on looking into that shop. And I thought of energy. I thought of when you link to certain energy, you were listening to that person, there's an energy linkage. And then if that energy appears to be so close to you, the energy will draw in, right? Just automatically, spontaneously. So if that energy was just traveling in front of the shop, it must be pulled in, right? So energy of the same force would pull together. If the energy is repulsive, it may repulse each other. But the energy is there's a togetherness in that kind of energy to pull the energy together. Plus, she has the wish to be fulfilled. She wants a monk or someone of a higher level than her, that's what she thought, who could help her to put 2 statues onto her altar table. And she was chanting the mantra every day with devotion. So that must be something like, it must be an arrangement that she could not miss, because somehow there could be a mystical force that puts the whole thing together. And that force, superstitiously, you may think that there's a God, there's an angel, but I tend to think of it scientifically. I think there's a saying, birds of the same feather flock together. That means if the energy are somehow related, even though they're so many thousands of miles away, when they come close, it's like a magnet that would attract it into the same place. Imagine there's thousands of shops around. How could I just walk in that moment and she switched onto YouTube and then bang, I appear right beside her. She was so surprised. Someone she was listening to every day, thousands of miles away in Canada, suddenly appeared in Malacca. And she said, wait, I want to give you a gift. So she gave me a Buddhist beads, that size, that length. He said, I store these beads in there for 10 years. I would like to offer it to you. Really, please accept it. I like you to accept it. So I accepted it. Later, I gave it to somebody, who leads the Buddhist beads. And then she also gave me what do you call that? The heavenly beads. The heavenly beads. The one-eye heavenly beads. I want you to take it because you remember our encounter. We encounter each other in here. So she took a few pictures. Unfortunately, we forgot to take pictures. We only took pictures with her camera, with her iPhone. So we didn't have any record. We didn't. And you took the picture for her, right? But why didn't you use your cell phone so that we have a picture as a proof of that lady, a Chinese lady, but a local born native in Malacca. So if we talk about mystical experiences, that's the experiences that we have when we're in Malacca. And I think it's so inscrutable, it's so unbelievable how that thing can happen, because it happened just within 1 or 2 seconds. If we drove by without stopping, nothing would happen like that. And I insisted on going back, even though I was advised not to do so. Oh, don't go down, we're too tired, let's carry on. And I said, you don't want to go down because you're tired, but I want to go. So I actually stepped down the car and I went in. I feel so active. I feel that I feel I'm not tired. So I wanted to go in. And a promise was fulfilled. She wanted the 2 statues to be put on the altar table. and visited by someone she was listening to every day on YouTube, who lived thousands of miles away in Canada, traveling to Malacca. So that's a coincidence, right? Yeah. So next time our meditation will be on a summary, and today we finished counting. So we have 6 doors to meditation. 天台中止观法门, 6 doors. And the first door is counting. And one should really be familiar with counting before going into following. For those who come for the first time, you should know that the objective of Buddhism is not just to prostrate and just to find out how to live a happier life in this life. Buddhism concerns 3 dimensions of time: the past, the present, and the future. Don't just be concerned about this life, because this life will come to an end after 100 years. And the Buddha said, life is not just one time. If you are not enlightened, you will carry your karma into the next life. And what will the next life be like? We don't know. It depends on what you have done in this life. So the Buddha taught us to end the suffering of reincarnation. But then there's so much to talk about, because people still think that this is a perfect world that they can achieve happiness. They think that happiness is here for you to take. Happiness is here for you to foster. Happiness is only temporary. And each person's definition of happiness is really different. But we all know that this world is a world of suffering. This is an imperfect world. Not only is the world imperfect, every individual is imperfect. The reason why that we're going through suffering, because we're living as an imperfect person, living in an imperfect world. Can you recognize that imperfection? Or you still think that every day you think that this world is happy, I'm looking for what is happiness, I'm driving a good car, and I'm going to be promoted, I'm going to make so much dollar tomorrow, and I'm going to travel everywhere and all that. You think happiness is only in the enjoyment of your senses? Your eyes like something, your ears like, your nose or taste, only the sensory perception. If you define happiness as only sensory perception, that is a very preliminary, a surface, not an in-depth kind of definition. If you still think that everything is perfect, you haven't lived. This world is imperfect. Not only is the community, not only is the family imperfect, the community is imperfect. Not only is community imperfect, the country is imperfect. Not only the country, the whole world is imperfect. That's the reason why we have wars, we have genocide, we have natural disasters, and families. I haven't seen one family that is perfect. How can a family be perfect when you have aging, sickness, death in every family? Grieving, frustrations, abuses, fights, divorces, all kinds of things happen. And the objective of Buddhism is to, after living this imperfect life, you still have to live this life. You live this life with what? With a good will. With a good will to survive. With a good will to lead to compassion of not just for yourself, for all the whole world, for everybody. You still live out this life with meaning, with compassion, with benevolence. But you remind yourself that's not enough. You want to make sure that you are going after this life into a perfect. We don't even know what is perfect, but a life that is away from this imperfect world. There's so much to talk about in how to arrive at perfection. In spite of the fact that perfection is something unachievable in here.